some of my favorite longtime people, and I'm thrilled that you're here. And I'm going to stop. I'll relinquish admitting people, Jolene, and you can do that. And I'm going to go back to, since we have potentially 60 on the line today. Not everyone will come every day. Uh, but it'll be grand. I kind of felt into the energy of it and wanted to see what might be possible, what collection of people would be the most fruitful here. We all know there's no accidents in the universe. We all know that we're called here today to bring something new to the world. And I am thrilled beyond measure to be here with you. So let me begin by just saying how grateful I am. First, I'm grateful to all of you for knowing in your hearts to turn out for something like this. I really, really, really appreciate what it takes to come and show up live and not just listen to the recording later. And those of you that are here looking at my face and smiling back at me are the people who carved that time out. And I want you to know it's a privilege and I take it very seriously, and you will not be disappointed. So as you've been hearing me rave for the last 11 months or so about the discovery that I had of our auspicious guest today, Peter Koenig, who is a marvel in the world. He is the source of the reclamation tool that we have been using, playing around with for the last 11 months. And you know that I'm the dogged sniffer outer of the best tools in the world. I had to use them to heal myself. And I have scoured the planet to find the best that I could find. And I've only ever brought back the best that I could find to our community, to our tribe. And I now pull from 20 different models, reclamation being the newest and greatest of all, right? So we pull from those 20 different disparate places into a new recipe to create transformation and change. But this one has superseded all in terms of efficacy, speed, freedom, and relief, all the things that we're up to. So I was just saying before you came on, everybody, that I reclaimed something in another class that I was in, and I reclaimed being unreasonable. And when I started, I was like, oh, I can't have that quality of being unreasonable. And I was like, oh, I learned that I could claim on and acknowledge being unreasonable. And in that unreasonableness, I reached out to Peter, who is retired, but does still consult and occasionally do workshops post-COVID and all those things. And he was in the middle of sourcing and prepping for a giant conference, the 7th annual conference about bringing love to money in Austria, but it was worldwide this time. And I was a little nervy to reach out and pitch him on this and just say, please come to my community. But I did feel that it was criminal that we didn't have a record. I couldn't find a record anywhere where we could watch this magic, watch him do this magic with people. And what we know, what you all know, anybody that's participated in a group with me before, is that this is the way that I work always. We just show up, we let life present where the energy wants to move. I do little hot seats with people 10 minutes at a time. And the beauty of being in a group to witness that together is that all the unconscious mind gates open up. And when you're not the one under pressure and you're watching somebody else do it, very often a sneaky thing slips in and you have a new awareness that wasn't possible before that. And what we feel is a wave go through the room. You can kind of surf the wave and have the transformation. So that's how we've been working anyway. But in this format, it's magical to get to experience reclamation. And I want you to know that. So before we even begin, before I even introduce Peter, I'm just going to check something. Would you be willing, just check and do a little gut check right now, please. Would you be willing to have your gains and your transformation and whatever you most hope to happen? Would you be willing to have that happen by virtue of watching someone else in the chair getting coached? How many people would be willing, if you got everything you wanted, would you be willing to have it that way? Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for that response. And so we can just relax for a moment and release, because that's my experience a lot. And life is going to guide us to who's the right person to be in the chair in that particular moment. And then things will happen. and energy will move and something might occur to you, and then we might call you forward out of that response. So to the degree that you could hold whatever you brought here, your intention, your desire, your deep wish, if you could hold that lightly as we do, rather than the clutching way, which we know often prevents us getting any transformation, that's the invitation today. To just release it all, hold whatever you have in your heart lightly. If, as a matter of fact, chances are high that whatever you right now think is most important to you might not be in an hour. It might be superseded by a deeper, more core, more important wish that you have. And that's my desire for you. But in any event, what I'm noticing here is that this is an opportunity for us to play, to not take it seriously, to just treat it like we're finger painting, not make it significant, see what might be possible. I'm thrilled that life brought us all together on this day and for the next two, for any that can make it. I'm thrilled beyond measure. I wrote that in an email to you that this feels like the biggest coup of my 20-year coaching career, to have had this esteemed gentleman, new friend of mine, come and say yes to this invitation so we could all play, and then to have all of you say yes too. So I'm just thrilled about that. So let's all take a breath. I think most of the folks have come. No, we still have quite a few more, but we'll take a moment now before I introduce Peter officially to drop into our bodies, because the next thing I would like you to know is that this is a somatic piece of work. It's not for your top brain, really. I mean, your top brain will catch up, but in the same spirit that we want to hold our wishes or intentions lightly, you have all heard me say over and over and over that the bottleneck in most of our transformation work is trying to figure it out first, right? Trying to wait until, yes, the heads are nodding, try and wait for the transformation. I'm not going to go there until I understand why this works. Everybody take a breath and let that out. it's so in our bodies. And this particular work from among the 20 models that I've talked about, this one more than most is a bit counterintuitive, and it just takes longer. It took longer for my top brain to begin to get it. So again, another thing to hold lightly, if you're willing to surrender understanding why it works, but just know that the body will catch it first and the head will catch up later. Let's just get a show of hands. Is that okay with everybody too? Are you willing to get your change if you don't have to understand it? Thank you. Thank you. Blessings to you. Okay, you're already dropping into your bodies. I failed to, we're going to do this. I failed to mention that if you have not been here with me before on a Zoom, most of my people know this, but I have some energy abilities that are not cognitive, and my hands move, and it's so not significant. It's just about, they turn on when coaching happens. It just is moving and perceiving energy, and it's nothing I do with my head, and I can make it stop and sit on my hands, but then it hurts, and then you don't get the benefit. So doesn't mean a thing. It's just another channel to read what's happening in the room, and my hands are letting me know that a lot is already happening and moving, and so I'm thrilled about that too. So thank you. So let's take a moment now to just go inside, turn our attention inward for a minute, and breathe into the belly and just settle in and settle down, closing your eyes if you wish, but mostly just noticing the gift of gravity right now, supporting your body entirely, noticing how delicious it can be to just be held right where you're sitting, feeling your bum in the chair, your back against the seat, and just tuning in and paying attention to that support, noticing that you did not need to earn it at all, which kind of matters. It's your birthright for being here right now as a human. You're fully supported by gravity. Another deep breath into the belly. No striving is required. No striving is required for today. No trying is required for today. Resting and relaxing into this support and the support of the love in this room will allow for the greatest progress for each one. Thank you. Just acknowledging the beautiful intention of everyone here together and noticing that that collective energy of all the ones in this space are also holding you up, holding up our collective entourage here and holding each one of you up individually. And I invite you now to rest into that. Yes, support too. Just feeling both gravity as a physical function and the intentional energy of this collective group. We're greater than the sum of the parts. It's such a beautiful thing. Oh, and now I'm going to invite forward just for a moment, speaking to your unconscious parts. I want to invite any and all skeptical parts that are in the room with your jobs to be protective. And if you've been here before, you know that all feelings are welcome in any room that I hold, and all parts are welcome. No artifice is required, no pretending. Beautiful. And I really appreciate you, skeptical parts, because really I can feel that you've let the swords down, right? You've let a lot of the guards down. And I'm just going to speak to you directly and request that if you're willing, you might step to the side of the system or person that you're helping with your guardedness. If you just step to the side and you too could relax into what happens here by surfing the wave, just being a wonderful observer and not needing, not requiring that top brain understanding, perhaps before you allow those guards to drop. Understanding if you don't like it after 3 days, you're more than invited to put everything back the way it was. There's no loss here. There's only an invitation for creative transformation to see what might be possible in a new way. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. There's such a willingness. Your parts have your back, everybody. Everybody's parts have their back. So thank you for all that. And we'll invite you now to come back to a more present in the room together, cognitive place, feeling your feet on the floor, still enjoying the support of gravity all the way through the day, but coming now with a particular alertness and most especially curiosity and an openness if you're willing to see what might be possible for you. So thank you for all that. Thank you for all those parts. We release all that and let it go. And when you feel comfortable, please open your eyes. Very good. Thank you so much. Now, to finally get around to our amazing guest today, it's my privilege and delight to introduce Peter Koenig to you. And I have a few words that he sent forward to me, so I'll share them with you here, and then we'll ask Peter to dive in, and we can explore what might be possible today in this 3-day adventure. So Peter is natively an Englishman. English is his first language, but he's been residing for some time in Switzerland. And he was born shortly after World War II to Czech and Austrian parents. He lives in Switzerland with his life partner, Barbara, and he's a developer of processes to accelerate consciousness and human development. So he's a perfect fit for our tribe, right? He's here to create love in business and create a new paradigm for love in business all around the world. That was the topic of his Congress that just happened that I also had the privilege to speak at. It was thrilling to do that and meet those folks. Peter has studied for nearly 4 decades on the effects of money. He pioneered transformational processes in business, in open space organizations and corporate organizations in the 80s. And he noticed in his work that money was such a sticky subject and it was a taboo for people and it brought up junk and garbage and it needed attention. It needed to be brought from the darkness out into the light of day our unconscious ideas and attitudes that we project onto money. And what he discovered was it was a perfect fulcrum to discover the buried places that we have, that we are blind to in our lives, that cause our outward blind spots in our life, that cause us angst and agita just because they're disowned. So he sourced this extraordinary reclamation process, and it's been used by folks around the world in all kinds of contexts, business and otherwise. And yet, as I said, he's retired. So he said, though formally retired, he gives talks and seminars and occasional workshops and master classes, and he's consults and is a mentor. And he also jogs and swims and skis and likes long train journeys, which is beautiful. He says he's insatiably curious, which I know to be true, and again is of like mind, and addicted by life's big questions. And I've got to say, you said your values, Peter, are love and beauty and excellence. And some of my people know that. This is how I know how much simpatico that we have. There's an index, everybody, that is free that you used to be able to take at AuthenticHappiness.org, the Harvard researchers and the folks that do the head of positive psychology. There was an index that you could take that Gallup supported that had jillions of people take it. And it would lead you through a series of questions to see what environments would make you happiest. And then it rated you, not only which were most important, but how you scored compared to other people. And my list at the top of my short list was appreciation of beauty and excellence. And I was in the 99th percentile, like the top 1%, like I care about it more than 99% of the people that cared about it was that. And love and compassion were the other ones that were in there. So when Peter says that his values are love, beauty, and excellence, it just warmed my heart. So there's so much to say. I'm going to stop talking now. I'll invite Peter to come forward and say anything you'd like to say about this. I'd love for you to reference in your opening remarks about reclamation or anything you want to say, to include the piece about your beautiful metaphor of the mirrored ball, of the disco ball. I did write about that, but I don't think anybody heard it. And I think it's an illustrative and wonderful way to look at this. So I'll turn it over to you. You have the floor, Mr. Koenig.
Oof. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. What an incredible introduction and preparation. I feel really most honored. I think I could stay with you for the rest of my life, never mind 3 days.
Don't give me an opening because I may add you into more of these events. So that's very dear. Thank you.
I feel very honored indeed, and to be with all of you, because I know and have a sense how much work and development work, self-development work, each and every one of you has already done. If you've been with Wendy, but not just from being with Wendy, I can feel it already. I know it. So this is like a gift to me, because usually I have to do a lot of preparation work before we can even start doing the work. And I have a feeling that tonight and the next 3 nights, we're just going to do a fairly quick and deep dive. And that's a bit like a dream. But one of the first things I want to say is that what I gather from Wendy apart from love, beauty, and excellence, I think she said once that she's like a dog with a bone. And I'm feeling that I'm the bone at the moment. She's the dog, right? You're the dog. So I'm very happy to reclaim tonight being a bone to start off with. And it feels wonderful to be a bone, your bone. Where did you hear about my work or me to start off with? I've forgotten, Wendy. Where was that?
I heard, it was so random. I follow Michael Neal of the 3 Principles, and he's a friend and colleague. And he had a new podcast. And I think the first or second day of his podcast, Charlie Davis spoke.
Ah, Charlie. Yeah.
It was Charlie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get the connection.
And he didn't have a lot. He referenced you, of course, because Charlie was a mentee of Peter's, but I went crazy reading every single thing he had on Medium and trying to find. That began the quest last May to try and find you and find this work.
Yeah. So here we are.
Snap.
After Wendy's quest. And okay, I'd like to acknowledge who's here also is Nadia
Yes,
Taranchevsky.
yes, I was going to do that. Please. Yes.
So Nadia is an old, she's not old, but she's an old colleague and friend for, I think must be 15 or 16 years since she first participated in one of my seminars on money, and is actually doing incredible work now, putting this money work online with Conscious You. And I'm delighted that Nadia is with us tonight, because if we start doing this work, I might call not just on Wendy, but I might call on Nadia as well, because Nadia is so experienced in doing this work. And I must say to everyone, part of my vision has been to have a community of practitioners, of which Nadia is one. And part of my vision was always to have my practitioners actually be better at my work than me. So I am the source of the work, but let me just put it this way, you're only getting the source here. But Nadia's with us, and she's better than me. And I think Wendy probably is too, or will be. So that's actually the dream. And that's how it should be. I just want to share that and invite you, if you can see Nadia Taranchevsky. I'm in Switzerland at the moment. I'm in a place called Zurich, and Nadia is in Germany, in Berlin. So we are in different parts of the planet. And you asked me to speak about the disco ball. At some point, I suddenly saw this was a wonderful metaphor for the work that we are doing, in the sense that if we look at ourselves as disco balls, we have so many different parts with light shining off in different directions. But in the course, and we, as babies, we're probably full disco balls when we're born. But in the course of our upbringing and our education, we tend to be brought to see that some parts are more important than others, and others we don't want at all. And so we turn the light off or turn down many of these parts, and we become the person that we are through the parts that we accept and the parts that we don't accept and turn off. And so that if we look at our identity, the part of our identity that we call our personality is actually made up of all the parts that we accept and all the parts that we don't accept. And if you put that all together, that is the person who you see that you are. And that person has certain sets of behaviors, attitudes, perceptions, and even beliefs. And it's that whole set together of perceptions, attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs that actually create our life circumstances. So what I call the reclamation work, I'm sure all of you have had experience with Wendy, or if not with Wendy, you've had experience in your personal growth when you've created something in your life where you suddenly feel like you're a different person or a new person. Maybe you've done therapy for years and you come out of one session and you say, oh, now you know I'm a new person. Well, what are you really saying? What you're really saying is that a part of you which you didn't really, which was turned off before on your disco ball, is suddenly turned on again. And you feel like a new person, but you actually are a new person in a sense. And it's doing that kind of process consciously, which is what the reclamation process is about. So the reclamation process that I think Wendy has described a lot, and maybe you've been working with already, is not to do with changing anything at the level of your attitudes, your perceptions, your beliefs. We're not trying to put you on a diet or do anything or give you affirmations that you must repeat 100 times, or mental training, because that's all at a more superficial level. The reclamation work goes straight into your identity. Because if you want to change something in your circumstances, something needs to change in your attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs. But just working at that level doesn't necessarily make it. We need to go below that, and we need to go into the person that you see that you are, which is related to your projections, and particularly unconscious projections, which the guard, which Wendy has been talking about and requesting to stand aside, has been kind of protecting. So it's had its role up to a certain level of development. Your guard takes over from your conscious part, and you go on a kind of subconscious automatic with your guard. Your guard looks after this side. But when you're in personal growth, you come to a limit, certain limits, and you have to, if you want to go beyond those limits, you feel those limits. If you want to go beyond them, you have to ask your guard, as Wendy has just done, to please step aside for the moment, because there's a part of your disco ball that you now want to take over yourself and not leave the guard on automatic just to look after it with sort of unconsciously or subconsciously. And that's really what this work is about. So that would be my introduction. And so the idea is you reclaim bit by bit pieces of your disco ball. And maybe the last thing I'll say about it is that very often the pieces, when they're not conscious, it looks as if two pieces in your disco ball are in opposition to one another. So you're hung in on one, but you're not going to accept the one that looks like it's the reverse. And the beauty is when you can accept both sides at the same time, you stop seeing them in opposition. And then you become more and more whole, with more and more parts illuminated in the disco ball that you see that you are. So that would be my introduction to this subject.
Gorgeous. Thank you for that. Beautifully said. And if you haven't already experienced this with me or gathered it from Peter right there, what happens in the work is that we uncover things that we eschew, qualities that we've been pushing away, aspects that we think, I can't be that, I mustn't be that. But in fact, if we have an adverse reaction to it, if we're pushing it away, it means it's living in there unconsciously anyway, and it will come out at the least opportune moments where you don't have any power over it, you can't titrate it or be in control of it, and you can't get any of the usefulness of it. And our intuition tells us, well, there's no usefulness in XYZ qualities. There's nothing good about that in any way. But I've been learning from Peter and Nadja that in fact, everything in the right context has a usefulness someplace. It might be in a little different, might be a tiny way, it might be a different flavor than the way that you've experienced it in the past or you rejected it in the past. But that's kind of the underlying piece here, that as humans, we have access to myriad possible ways to be in the world, all of them. It's our birthright, just like gravity holding us in the chair is our birthright without us having to do anything about it. But when so many of these aspects have been closed off, it takes extreme pressure. It takes extreme energy for us to disown them. That resistance is siphoning off our life force. And you've heard from me, anybody in my community has heard me speak for 20 years about beach balls, about trying to hold a beach ball underwater, the pressure of that. And we know that there's really nothing to a beach ball. It's a little bit of plastic and a lot of air. And if you let it pop out and just release, you get so much life force back. But most of our life force is spent trying to keep these unconscious pieces disowned. And so this is a process to release your beach balls elegantly and quickly, to release your frequencies. We've used that metaphor also, to decondition the unhelpful programming, to be vibing something different so that we attract different dance partners into our life and new experiences show up. So I'm going to stop talking about it now. Now we can do our deep dive. And here's the housekeeping of how I envision this going. As you know, anybody that's done this with me, we don't go strictly in the queue. I'll invite you now, if you'd like to be working with Peter, to write something in the chat, and you could also raise your hand. I'm going to have Jolene give me 5 or 6 or whatever is in the queue of sort of the topics, a couple sentences. I'll ask you to unmute for a few moments, right? So you could speak into that and I can feel what it is you want to work with. And then I am just tuning into my intuition to see where does the energy want to go for the whole room? What would benefit everybody for us to surf the wave? So please, 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 it's not personal. If I don't call on you first, we're just going to notice what it is. And I'm also going to ask Peter if what I'm feeling feels right to him, and you can supersede it and work with anybody you wish. And we'll take it from there. One of the things that might occur is after Peter's done a piece of work with someone and we've done both sides, because there are two polarities to this. When that's done, we may pull the room. That's what's typical, to see what popped out of that, because that's still in that energy, and an authentic energy can be coming up right then. So we might then work with people that weren't even in the queue, but that noticed something. So we're just going to be organic in that way. We may need to lower the hands at some point and ask you to raise them again, but I will make notes of anyone that I spoke with. You don't have to do it again. And we have 3 days, and we all just agreed, I believe, that it's okay to get it wherever it comes from, right? So let's see. Oh, that's really great. So Debbie says,
okay, yeah. So
go ahead.
We have,
What you got?
So we have a couple of hands raised. So we have Deeterell, Margarita H, Dahlia, and Deborah. And then a couple of folks put their topics in the chat. So Deborah, it wants to make peace with the idea of failing.
Okay.
Anne K is fighting getting older as she approaches 80.
Okay.
Deeterell is ready to permanently release whatever is blocking her experience large sums of money. I'm just gonna vote on that one too.
Okay.
I want large sums of money. Debbie B doesn't want to be ridiculed, and she feels like an idiot. It seems like there's some part of feeling competent there. Kathleen, there's a fear of being judged or not good enough. Jennifer is just in the throes of intense emotional eating.
Mm-hmm.
Annie Martin feels like a fake. So just again, so it sounds like there's some themes of feeling competent or feeling judged about being good enough, some shame around that.
I'm going to stop you right there because it's so good, but we're good. I'll get lost in
different things.
Too many. Yeah, that's all right. It's wonderful. And thank you. And you might want to put it back in later. So if I don't bring it up, Deeterell, could you unmute yourself? Could you just talk to me? Give me a few sentences. Hey, sweet thing. If you had it all your own way, hi, what would you like to reclaim with Peter?
To be able to consistently allow and receive large sums of money on a consistent and permanent basis.
I can feel the strength of the desire in that. Okay. And this is something you have examined before at some length. And we are here with the master. I'm inclined, because you're such a beautiful, coachable soul, and you're right here at the top. Peter, since your expertise is money, would you be willing to begin with Deeterell and just explore what might be possible here to shift?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, Deeterell, where are you? I can't quite see you.
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, I got you. So, so can you give a little background to your situation? I mean, you have been offered lots of money and you haven't been able to receive it, or what is it?
The situation is that I have been, I started my career in sales, and now for the last 28 years, I've had my own business. And I've always have been in this striving mode of trying to be rich and wealthy and financially independent, and all of these things since the 80s. And I just feel that there is, I have noticed even before this class started that there's a part of me that's pushing that away and not allowing that to happen, even in spite of all my trying and attempts.
Yeah. So, so are you in debt?
Yes.
Right. So without thinking too much, and everybody can do this, I'm going to ask you a question, everybody, and you just reply, and you can write it down on a piece of paper, everybody else, but you stay with me.
Okay.
Terrell. Just say the first things that come into your mind if I ask you the question, what is money for you?
Sex.
Sex?
Yes.
That's the first thing. Second thing?
Hiding.
Hiding. And third thing?
Security.
Okay. So, what's behind the hide? What do you mean by money is hiding?
That was the first thing that came into my mind.
So, but money is hiding from you? What do you mean by money, by hiding exactly?
I'm actually just exploring inside of me. That was the first thing that came up when you asked.
Okay.
Um,
It came up before sex and security?
no, it came up in the order that you asked the questions.
Okay. So let me ask, do you like sex?
Yes.
Do you like security?
Yes.
Do you like hiding?
No.
So, so there's something in this subject of hiding here. So I would ask you, what are you hiding? Do you know what you're hiding?
Feeling inferior.
Yes. But can you pick out a reason that you are hiding, going back into your past for some reason, into your biography? If you look back, did you have a good reason for hiding at some point? I'm trying to, this is what we do here is experimental. So it might be successful, it might not be successful. We're just trying to figure things out at the moment. So I'm trying to get a deeper grasp on this money being hiding. And what exactly is the background to that?
Well, two things. I'm just going to say what's just coming through, because part of me is arguing with myself that, oh, that's your top brain, or that's your cognitive self that's talking. But the first thing that came to me is that if I am not seen, then I won't be touched. That was the first thing that came to me. And then the second thing that came to me is that if I'm hiding, then I won't be ridiculed.
And I can add just a little bit of missing information, Peter and D. Terrell, that maybe we'll add to the mix. So D. Terrell, what I know about you is you have such huge desire. You're so great you have huge enthusiasm for life, and you just go for things really big. And the relationship with money up until this time has been a chasing kind of a feeling. Yeah, like a big hunger. And you know how we say when we're hungry for something, the hungry don't get fed, it kind of pushes it away. So if I'm remembering correctly, money has never been easy or come in big buckets for you. Even though you've had your own business, it's been very close to the bone, barely bringing any in, but having big expenses, and then judging yourself over, why do I work so hard? Because you do work so hard, and you're a bright light in every room you come in. And this relationship with money is kind of a pivotal big thing for you, in your life, right? Like if you had one thorn you were going to pull out of your paw, it would be this thing around the money. And it's
Yes.
never frickin' worked in all your years of best efforts in trying. Okay, is that
Yes,
correct?
I just want to clarify one thing. In
Yeah.
the beginning of starting my business, I was very, very lucrative. Not like making a lot, but it was a lot for me to actually do it. But then over time, it began, and especially when I came, because that was one of the reasons why I came to you, and is so over time, I noticed like within the last 8 years, then it has been a real, real, real struggle.
Okay.
So actually, money is a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's something you have about money which is really negative, which is not quite expressed yet. So
Okay.
it's a struggle. But let's just start. Let's just start with you. Let's just start where you started, and we see where we go. Just
Okay.
then, what happens to you when you say, "I am hiding"?
I am hiding. I feel a sensation in my throat.
Mm-hmm. What sort of sensation?
I just noticed it's very faint, and I just noticed it when I said, I am hiding.
Mm-hmm. So you gave a couple of advantages of hiding. You told us. Do you like hiding?
No?
So let's just start there. I hide,
I hide,
and I give myself permission to hide.
and I give myself permission to hide.
How does that feel?
That feels okay.
Mm-hmm. So I hide, and it's okay.
I hide, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. How is that?
That feels okay.
So I hide, and it's actually really rather good.
I hide, and it's really rather good.
How does that feel?
I feel the sensation in my throat again.
Clamping you down? Or,
Squeezing me in like this.
okay. So in other words, it's not really, up to now, it's not really okay for you to hide.
I guess not.
Yeah. So now we're going to make it okay. So I'm hiding,
I'm hiding,
and it's really cool.
and it's really cool.
How does that feel?
That does not feel good. That's like, no.
Okay.
And it feels lower too.
Okay. So the advantages of hiding is that you can't be touched and ridiculed.
Yes.
You can't be touched. Do you like not being touched?
No.
Okay. So I'm hiding, and my sense is I attract people who touch me.
Hmm.
Do you like that?
What is coming up for me is it feels like two opposing things. Like, yes, I like physical touch. I feel that there's conflict, that yes, I like physical touch, but no, I don't like inappropriate touch. And then the second part is I don't want to be touched like people knowing who I am and being in the limelight because of what that could bring. That's what I feel is happening.
Right. So imagine you were Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like that?
Well, I don't feel any opposition.
Well, she's in the limelight.
She is.
So what would you feel if you were like that, you'd really be in the limelight.
I would, and I could feel myself getting emotional because I feel like that my family would not be safe, and especially my daughter. And I just worry about like her being kidnapped or some harm coming to her.
Mhm. So then it's really good to hide, isn't it? It's really cool. So try saying again, I'm hiding and it's really cool.
I'm hiding, and it's really cool. I feel like I want to hide now and just put my head down.
Mhm. Okay. So we'll now go into the polarity and see where we go with that. So what's the opposite of hiding now?
Is just being out in the limelight and being seen.
Yeah. So again, this is something that you don't really want.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll say, I'm in the limelight and I give myself permission. We'll start there.
I'm in the limelight and I give myself permission to be there.
Yeah. How does that feel?
I feel it in this part now.
Yeah. It feels, you can breathe with that, breathe well with that.
Well, at first I couldn't until you made me. I must not have been breathing because then when you said that, I started breathing.
So I'm in the limelight, and it's good to be in the limelight. You're really in the limelight right now.
I feel like, no, I don't want to be in the limelight. And I feel like this area is making a fist, like, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just put your hand on that area. It's around your heart, isn't it? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So just gently stroke that area. And try saying it again. I'm now in the limelight.
I'm now in the limelight.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. It feels better.
I'm in the limelight.
I'm in the limelight.
And it's really okay.
And it's really okay.
And I would suggest you open your eyes when you say it.
Okay. I'm in the limelight and it's really okay.
Yeah. What's happening right now?
It feels neutral.
Mm-hmm. So we'll step it up a bit. I'm in the limelight and I enjoy it.
I'm in the limelight and I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Resistance. And it is going lower too.
Yeah, you're doing well with it. You're doing absolutely fine. I'm in the limelight and I'm actually really rather starting to like being in the limelight.
I'm in the limelight and I'm really starting to like being in the limelight.
Yeah.
It's still nodding up right here.
Okay. Okay. So let's just go back again for the moment and see where we are with that. So, so let's go back to I'm hiding.
I'm hiding.
And it's perfectly okay to hide.
And it's perfectly okay to hide.
How is that now?
I feel less resistance, and I feel stronger.
Yeah. So do you see, when it's necessary to hide, it's perfectly okay to hide. Do you get it? It's perfectly okay. In fact, it's cool. And I wanted to say before, and it may be wrong, but we'll try it and see, because we try everything here.
Okay.
I'm hiding and it makes me feel sexy.
I'm hiding and it makes me feel sexy. I feel some sensation, but it's not either, like it doesn't feel like resistance and it doesn't feel like excitement. It's just like a little flutter.
Yeah, but I think you look for your flutters to come from up on top, don't you? So this flutter comes from down below, from your feet. So pay attention to the energy that moves up.
Okay.
So I'm hiding, and it feels really, if you like, sexy, and it's really great. Allow the energy to come up in your legs right now.
I'm hiding and it feels really it feels really what?
Sexy.
Great.
Let's say great, sexy, whatever you like.
I'm
You can
hiding
choose
and
the
it
way.
feels really great and sexy.
Yeah. What's happening now?
I feel I'm more aware of my feet now, the bottom of my feet.
Yeah. So pay attention there. And
Okay.
allow it to move. Allow the energy. You can take your hand away from your heart right now.
Okay.
The focus is on the energy moving up now.
Okay.
I'm hiding, and I feel really safe and well planted, and it really feels wonderful.
I'm hiding and it feels really safe and I'm well planted.
Yeah.
I feel sensation in my feet. More of my feet than before. Before it was at my toes and now it's like my feet.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So we'll just stay with you, but I'd like to check in with the rest of the room right now to see how other people are doing with these phrases that we have touched so far. So Wendy, do you want to lead off?
I would be happy to. And actually, I'm going to, Jolene, if you would drop all the hands and we'll have you raise, so you can put them again later. Let's drop all the hands and then raise your hand after we've dropped them here. Raise your hand if you're noticing something from specifically about D. Terrell's work and you'd like to comment on that, or you're noticing what's come up for you. Let us know. Dahlia, is that you have a wanting to speak? I saw you wave. You could raise your hand in the, by clicking the button. I'm not sure. Oh, there's 2 raised hands. Who's that?
Yeah, so we have
Okay.
Shelly and Deborah and Kahanu.
Great.
So can I just put in here, Wendy?
Yes.
So this is not about commenting on what's happening with De Terrell. It's actually what's happening with you with these same phrases. That's what we'd like to hear.
Thank you for restating that. And let's hear from Kahanu first. Can you speak to that, Kahanu, about what's arising in you by hearing these statements? And I'm going to go plug in because I forgot to plug in. So let's talk amongst yourselves. Okay, go ahead.
I can't talk now.
Okay. Yes. So can you hear me?
Yes.
I am just, for me, the feeling was in my core and like huge resistance to hiding and it being okay. And then this last section of the in the limelight, and that's okay. Like major, like not, that is not okay. And it's not safe in my, and so I appreciate being able to listen to D. Terrell and your honesty, because that allowed me to be honest with what was coming up in me. And it was just a huge reaction of like, yeah, no. not safe, not okay. It's not okay to hide, but it's not okay to be in the limelight either. I had like strong reactions to both of those.
So I would guess what happens is that you pretend to be kind of in the limelight, but actually you're hiding in that pretense. Is that accurate? And it's
A specific experience where I was teaching a class. I really wished I could have been hiding versus teaching the class. That like just happened a few days ago.
okay. So it's actually an uncomfortable place to be, because you're uncomfortable when you're hiding, but you're uncomfortable also when you're on stage. So this is what we're...
Especially when other people are around. When certain people are there, it's even more like I feel like I shouldn't be there in that space.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you. So just allow these phrases to work on you as well, because it's perfectly legitimate to hide, and it's perfectly legitimate to be on stage and take the limelight. In fact, if you are to live your calling, there are moments when it's absolutely essential to be in the limelight. And the beauty of being in the limelight at that moment is when you're fully in your calling and power, you are 100% protected. But I'm just making that statement now. You may not believe it yet. I won't push that belief.
But for everybody else that just went, could you just give us another couple sentences, Peter, on your knowing about that if you're in your purpose and that you are protected when you're visible in that way? What else do you know about that?
It's like you're impenetrable. It's like there's the energy in all your bodies is so full that you're like that beach ball. You are that beach ball. You're impenetrable. You know, I know you can prick with a pin, you can prick a beach ball, but I mean, really, there's nothing that can touch you in that impenetrability at the moment. There's nothing in your aura or anywhere there's no entry point at that point, because you're so full of that energy. And you know, you can protect yourself also when it's necessary through hiding. So when it's not your moment to be on stage, it's not your moment when you're not meant to be in the limelight, don't try and be in the limelight. You see, if you're sort of somewhere in between, you don't know whether you should be or you shouldn't be. So we're giving permission here to go into both directions at the same time and as far as you like. So when it's a moment to hide and you feel you need to be really intimate with yourself and you don't want anybody else around, then it's perfectly okay to hide. It's perfectly okay to have secrets, for example. You know, we have this thing about we all need to be transparent today. Everything needs to be out in the open and transparent. No, not necessarily. You can have wonderful secrets. Why not have great secrets? But the art of life is to know when the moment is to hide, when to be in the limelight, when to have secrets, and when to be transparent. And these are the different parts of your disco ball. So this is why we're reclaiming all the parts of as many parts of ourselves as we can, because it allows us more strategies for the circumstances that we're meeting. I mean, I'm sure each one of us has had moments when we've had sort of secrets and we've blurted them out because we feel we ought to have done and created chaos with that. Whereas it would have been much better to choose the right moment to reveal something, and there's a right moment to reveal something, a right moment to keep a secret, a right moment to be in the limelight, a right moment hide. And as Wendy was saying, there's nothing out there which is actually illegitimate, not legitimate to be used in our identity. Everything is potentially useful. So that's what we're dealing with. And the resistances that we're feeling have come through our years of upbringing. And we have to have respect for that. But if you're dealing with these sort of questions right now, if your question is coming up like it is with hiding or not hiding, it's because that has become too limiting right now. So anyone else? Maybe somebody else.
Yeah, I'll do that. But I want to speak to, thank you, Kahanu. And Peter, you just blew my mind. You just changed several paradigms with that brief paragraph explanation. And for folks that are in the Cure Club, we'll be discussing that on the monthly call on Wednesday. There's a whole lot of great life in there for all of us, because what you don't know, Peter, is in this tribe, issues around visibility is probably the signature thing, money and visibility. And also putting things off, procrastinating. But really, what's the reason for the procrastinating? Visibility and worth and money, like that. So this couldn't be more perfect. Thank you. And I'm seeing Rick, would you speak up, because I saw a comment flow by and I think you had, what arose in you as we were watching Dee Terrell work?
All right, what I put in the chat real quick was money makes me a target. I'm not afraid of being in front. You know, being in the limelight is something like I sought to learn how to do in my trainings and in my work as a teacher. So I sought that out, but I didn't want to be acknowledged for it. Just, you know, watch me, but don't engage with me. So I've learned how to open to that part. But having money it makes me a target. I think I related to Terrell as far as that was, if I start getting more money, I become a target for the world, and that causes a lot of fear. So that was the thing that's really, I feel it in my body right now, just speaking out loud.
So we can just address that. We're still with the Terrell, but if you're willing, we can just address that right now, because it's an issue of power.
Sure. Yes.
So what happens, Rick, if you say I'm a powerful man?
It's not true.
So try saying it.
I'm a powerful man. That makes me nervous. It's like, okay, now I'm putting myself out there to be a target for someone to say, no, you're not. A lot of criticism. Criticism and yeah.
So I imagine you're quite critical of powerful men.
Oh yeah. I remember I've told Wendy that for a lot of years I was terribly afraid of men. So I hung out with women. That's why all these women in this room, very comfortable. There's a couple of guys in there, like I see Will. Will is somebody I would like to hang out with, and doesn't feel threatening because I know him. But men in general for years were very threatening to me, and a lot of psychology there, but basically that's one of the things I've made myself do, was not be afraid of men.
So what happens when you get provoked?
Provoked by what? Anything?
By somebody who provokes you.
I want to run them over. I just mentioned this to Wendy the other day, as one of our early classes, when something does, how do you feel? I said, I feel murderous. Yeah, and I've allowed myself to feel murderous.
Yes. So you are actually at that moment a very dangerous man.
Yes. That used to scare me.
Yeah, and that still scares you.
Okay.
So
yes.
So what I suggest you say is, I'm a dangerous man.
I'm a dangerous man.
Now, how does that feel?
Feels okay. A dangerous man.
Now just imagine that you're in the limelight. and somebody wants, and you become a target, right?
Yes.
At that moment, you need to be a dangerous man.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes.
you're not you can't protect yourself.
Right.
So that's why
Yes. Yes.
being a
Yes.
dangerous man is really good.
Yes.
So,
I studied a series of books called King, Magician, Warrior, Lover. And one of my weakest points during that time of my experience was the warrior
warrior, yeah.
archetype. And so I made myself, I worked on that to be a dangerous man, actually, to be able to pull that warrior energy when I needed it. And it has helped a lot. Yes.
It may have helped a lot, but it hasn't helped you yet.
Not enough.
So I'm a dangerous man and I really love it, but maybe we need even stronger. You mean
Yes.
maybe even need to say I'm a killer.
I'm a killer.
What happens there?
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It really is okay. Then the consequences of being a killer kind of rolls into my mind, my top brain, but being a killer seems viable, feasible.
So can you say it's good?
It's good. Being a killer is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see where that goes. Yeah. Being a killer is good.
What's happening now?
I'm just looking at your face and being in my body and letting it settle. I see other faces, but I'm looking at your face. There's a heat. I feel heat building in my chest. And I want to jump up and down. So I'm holding myself down to stay in this chair, but there's a lot of energy growing, building.
Yeah, you've been killing yourself a lot. When you're holding that energy down, you're killing yourself.
Yes. Being a servant, I've been a servant for over a year and a half now to my wife. So it's been hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So can you see, if you allow this energy to be and welcome it into your life, it's really needed. And I'm talking to everybody here in terms of what it represents. Killing or being dangerous represents a concept. Just if you look at it from from a more distant standpoint, it's just a concentration of energy. And being able to concentrate energy is really important in two particular aspects. First of all, to be able to protect yourself. Because if you aren't able to concentrate energy in that way, you're going to be unprotected.
Right.
And you will attract, then either you hide to avoid circumstances, but that's not a solution, because you're in a kind of chronic fear. So you know, that's not really, as I say, it's not a solution. So you need to be able to concentrate energy so that you can protect yourself at the moments you need to protect yourself. This doesn't mean that you go, just because you discover it and reclaim it, that you go around killing people. Actually, the reverse.
Right. The other top brain word that pops in that's been in my mind and in my understanding has been safety. So it really coincides very strongly.
Yeah. So when
Safety,
you know,
money and security and safety all seem to roll together.
so when you know that you can kill, it's more likely that you will feel safe. And you won't be worried about being a target, because
Yes.
When somebody comes out and once you're in the limelight and somebody comes out with their spear or their dagger, you only need to say, watch out, like a dog with teeth. You know, this could be dangerous for you.
Yeah. Yes. I'm actually trained, so it really is true, actually.
Of course it's true.
Maybe the fear is actually the power itself. I've
Well,
been trained. I was trained to kill people. I mean, in the military, you're trained to
I'm
kill
sure.
people. So that's all there.
So you know how to do it. The fear is that if you see, the fear comes from if you repress the killer in you,
Yeah.
kill yourself, but it's likely to come out. I asked Terrell about what, or somebody, no, I asked
Kahanu.
Kahanu, what happens when you get provoked? What happens when you get provoked is what you're repressing comes out involuntarily.
Right. Right.
And when it comes out involuntarily, you get even more fearful of this because you feel the power of it. So when you reclaim the power, then you are in your power. And when you're in your power, you can control it and give it out in doses. So in other words, if somebody comes and attacks you or throws something at you when you're in the limelight, you don't necessarily need to kill them. You just need to warn them maybe very strongly. Or, you know, a dog is not going to bite until you really provoke it so much that it'll then bite. But first of all, it gives you quite a number of warnings. Say, hey, don't come any closer or watch it. So, you know, if you have no hesitation about your power and you reclaim it fully, and you reclaim how dangerous you can be, like actually, I'm talking about everybody. There's nobody here in our disco balls. We're all killers. We all are potential killers. There's no exception here in the room. However we might like to think of ourselves as nice, docile, gentle people, we all have this part in ourselves as well. And it's a legitimate and important part as well. And it, you know, one of the, I don't know, have you ever heard of the martial art called Bujinkan?
I have not, no.
It was, yeah, Dad Terrell has. So it was started by a little man, I think in China. He's now well into his 80s or 90s. And actually it's a martial art which teaches you how to kill. And if you look at him, he's the gentlest looking soul you could possibly imagine. He's smiling, he's gentle, but when you see the videos, you can't imagine how he does it. He's so small, and people come and attack him, and he has them on the ground with his thumb in the part which could kill them in a nanosecond. And you can't even see how he does it, but he doesn't need to use that. It's just, why should he? You know, you don't need to unless you really are in a situation where it's appropriate. So this is really, you know, what this is about here. It's not trying to reclaim just the parts of us that we are thinking of are nice. Maybe even more so now than ever, it's important to reclaim these other parts like this. So we'll just finish up here. What's the opposite for you of being a killer?
That guy you just described, a lover.
A lover. So
somebody who gives.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens when you say I'm a lover?
I feel in my space.
Mm-hmm.
I've identified that. It's like I said, I've been hanging with women for so many years that generally our culture says that the women are the ones who nurture and give and look after.
Okay.
They're the mother feature.
So how do you know when you're a lover?
I look at other people, how I feel, just my reaction right now. I'll be completely candid with you. Right now, with all that's going on in our country, with race and all of it, what's I feel in my heart is when I see a black person, I see that color, and that color of that skin is representing love to me. And that's really, it feels like a blessing to me to have my being moving in that direction. That's love, just seeing that.
Seeing what? Seeing
The color of skin is creating a reaction in me that says there's a love, there's love, just the color
okay. So
itself.
try saying there's love in me, whether I
There's love
see,
in me.
yeah, whether I see the color or not.
There's love in me whether I see the color or not.
How does that feel?
That feels wonderful.
Yeah.
That feels natural.
Yeah. So it's got nothing to do with the color.
No.
So that's a good phrase for you. I'm a lover, whether I see the color or the being in the other or not.
I'm a lover and I see that love whether there's color or not.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a killer and it's great.
And I'm a killer and it's great.
Mm-hmm. So how does that feel now? Where?
Makes me smile. Makes me smile. So watch out, you people. Because I love you all. I love you all. I'll kill you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Wendy.
Sure. Do you want to go back to D. Terrell, Peter?
I
or
think
here in
so.
the-
I think this might be a good moment.
Yeah,
So
yep.
how are you doing, D. Terrell?
I'm laughing at Rick and enjoying Rick.
And how are you doing with your phrases?
I'm trying to remember my phrases. When you said to him that that's a good phrase for you, I was like, well, what are my phrases? I forgot my phrases.
So
I didn't write them down.
okay, so I'm in the limelight.
I'm in the limelight
And I love it.
and I love it. I feel that in my heart. I don't feel resistance.
Mm-hmm. So there's been movement. And I'm hiding.
I'm hiding. There was a little something in this heart area again, not as strong as before, but I felt it.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back to I give myself full permission to hide.
I give myself full permission to hide. In the throat and mouth up, I felt a sensation.
Mm-hmm. So you're still not giving yourself full permission. So who forbade you to who said you shouldn't hide? Do you
Who
remember?
said I should? Well, when you said that I wasn't giving myself full permission, I thought about and I thought about hiding. I thought about my grandmother, and I thought back to an incident where I said I didn't like this type of lunch meat called olive loaf. And I just remember her balling up her fist and just punching me and knocking me, just hitting me real hard and me, like moving. And she says, you don't have a right to not like this.
Mm. So how did that relate to the experience of hiding?
I don't know how it relates to the spirit, to the hiding. I just know when you said who gave you permission to hide, that image came.
Yeah, okay. So you were not allowed to hide from that violence for some reason.
Mm,
Did you have anywhere to hide?
no.
So there's something around that. There's something around that. And it's very much, let me put it this way, it's one aspect related to related to money, and money
Okay.
staying away from you.
Okay.
Because you see, you're projecting the hiding onto money. Money is hiding from you.
Mm-hmm.
When you hide as well, you will find money in that hiding place.
So I'm just being with that because that just makes no sense to me at all. But I trust you, so I'm just going to be with that.
So imagine money is hiding from you, but you're not allowing yourself to go and hide in that same hiding place where the money is.
That makes sense.
So when you allow yourself to hide, in that hiding place, you will find all the money.
Okay, that makes sense too.
So where do you work at the moment?
I'm not employed at the moment.
Okay. But I'm just wondering whether you worked in a bank.
No, I never worked in a bank.
So we're onto something there. So when you hide and money hides, then you're reconciled with money. And money can stay with you. And at the moment, you're not allowing yourself to hide and money is hiding, so you're separating yourself off. But we can also say that we're also seeing that money is a struggle, right? So try saying, I'm a struggle.
I'm a struggle.
What happens there?
The sensation is all in my mouth.
Good sensation?
Not it, I just felt the energy. I just felt it there.
Yeah.
But it was not bad or good or anything. I just felt it there.
So I'm imagining you don't particularly like to be a struggle.
No.
So we want to give you a good taste of it.
Okay.
Because what you're doing in your life is trying not to be a struggle, right? And you know what that results in?
A struggle.
Yeah. You got it. So when you allow yourself to be a struggle, then you can imagine what happens.
Then I find the money.
Well,
I hope.
So I am a struggle, and it's wonderful.
I am a struggle, and it's wonderful.
You see, there's a paradox in the way we're dealing with these opposites and these polarities. It's like when you're trying not to be something, you're chronically in that something. And you don't have any sense what it's like to be in the opposite. So you have no sense what it's like to be in a situation of no struggle.
Yes.
And when you are enjoying struggling, it will put you into a situation where you might actually find it rather cool and enjoyable to be struggling. I can see you smiling right now.
Oh, you started smiling first.
I'm smiling all the time, but okay. So when you're enjoying struggling, you will hardly even know that this is the sensation of being the opposite. What's the opposite of struggling for you?
Ease.
Ease.
Yes.
So did you notice, you hardly notice that you're in ease the moment you enjoy struggling?
Did I notice that now? Or you?
When you were laughing just now
Yes.
at enjoying struggling,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
what we all saw was your ease.
Yes.
Now your mind can't figure that out, but that's what's going on.
Okay.
So enjoy, just imagine now how useful it could be in one or two situations. I'd like you to think of one or two situations where it would be really useful to be struggling.
Well, if I'm lifting heavy weights, that's one instance.
But I'm thinking more of with somebody.
Oh,
Somebody,
with somebody.
your ex-husband or something like that.
Well, thank God I don't have an ex-husband. I only have one husband. Well, it would be good to struggle to just stand my ground.
Yeah, with somebody. You have somebody in mind?
I went back to my grandmother when I thought about that.
Okay, your grandmother. Is she
Yes.
still alive?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure you can still struggle with her even if she's dead. So, you get a struggle with your grandmother. And, whoever it happens to be, but you really reclaim this energy fully so that you really are fully in it and acknowledge it and enjoy it, this energy of struggle. And this is the paradox. You will find yourself in ease at that moment.
Okay.
I see Nadia's got her hand up, so
Yes.
I'd like to bring her in because I
Yes.
think she's got some further insights here. Nadia?
You have to come off mute, Nadia. Can you take yourself up?
Sorry, I thought I already had, but there you go. Hi guys, hi Dieter. You know, I was really enjoying this conversation here around the being the struggle, and then something just came to me because at the very beginning, when you started sharing, you also used the word ridiculous and struggle in relation to money, and I wondered what would happen if you called yourself, I'm a ridiculous struggle.
I'm a ridiculous struggle.
And that's amazing.
And that's amazing. So it's neutral.
Does that feel okay?
That feels okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. So you've really moved quite a long way.
Fantastic. And then Peter, I wondered if it might be worth mentioning one more thing, because I think at the very beginning, when I got first introduced to your money work, I kind of thought, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to do my money work and then I'm going to be rich. And, to realize that that's not really what might happen here.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest gifts you've given me is to realize what money work does is it sets me free to be on my path and to do what I need to do in life and to realize what I need to realize in life. And that path could also incorporate that I might be in debt, that I might not have any money at all. But to know that I can be okay with that because I'm free and because my safety and my livelihood is not connected to money anymore. And that for me was such a big turning point. So I wondered, and Wendy, I don't know how that was for you to sort of make that connection, but for me that was mind blowing, because I feel in this world of money, whenever we deal with coaches who teach us something about money, the promise is that if you do this work, you're going to be rich.
It's fantastic, Nadia. Thank you for both of those insights. And really beautiful. I love the ridiculous hiding. That was outstanding. Good catch.
So how are you doing right now Terrell. Is it good to leave it there with you, or
Yes, I'm good.
yeah?
I'm good. I just would like to just check in a second to make sure that that statement is really true and not just reacting out of just people pleasing or anything, just
Okay,
being
okay.
true.
So let me just add one thing before you do that.
Okay.
So what you and everybody needs to know is that these phrases we're using are not true at the start.
Okay.
We are dealing with lies. Why? Because if you keep telling yourself your truth, your old truth, nothing changes. So if you want to change something, you have to tell yourself a lie to your mind. And what we do with this process is we select good lies for your mind. Actually, they always touch a deeper level of truth. But don't worry about the fact that it may be a lie to start off with. So I just want to add that.
Thank you for adding that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for stepping up first or being
You're welcome.
selected first.
Thank you.
So beautiful. And I'm feeling the energy in the room. It's so much happened there. And I'm not sure if everybody caught, I mean, really, there was so much in what you just did, Peter. You shared several mind-blowing, paradigm-changing aspects to what's possible with reclamation, in addition to doing the work and having us all perceive it in an unconscious way and in a somatic way. And some people are a little perplexed, and that's fine. If you're perplexed right now, there's no need to feel like you're behind. There's some feeling in the room like, oh, everybody else is getting this and not me. That's not true. You can just trust that your body and your unconscious mind is really getting it. And my mind is blown. I'm feeling a little blown out in a good way because you just changed a bunch of paradigms for me. I saw more levels to what's possible with this work based on your bits of explanation as you're working, which makes me, again, extremely grateful that we're doing this, because this is what doesn't come out in a lecture. It comes out in the moment, comes out of your mouth, these pearls, when you're doing the work. So I'm not sure yet where or who to go to next. I did have an impulse. Yes, Peter, what were you going to say?
So what I sometimes ask is, who is burning? You know, we're dealing with a popcorn in a sense. So is there somebody in the room who feels really burning and ripe to pop? Oh yeah, Dahlia?
Well, oh, it's Dahlia.
I'm not sure.
Did you just go like this, Dahlia? Your hand was raised before. Oh, you are? Okay, great. Come on, girl. Come off mute. Yep, there we are.
Oh my God, I want to thank everybody who shared. You said that whatever we wrote down, the little comment, that might not be it, that it was something else. I can't tell you for how many years I've been trying to figure out what the Terrell said here. And whoever else was the gentleman, my mind was so blown, I couldn't even stay in my body. It was like, okay, girl, calm down, stay here, don't run away. But here's what I want to say, because I couldn't believe it. Somebody said it what I could not say. And it was about hiding. And I've known that I hid, but I didn't know why. And it feels good for me to hide. It really, really does. Even though that's not what I want. And why? Because every time I come out and I shine, somebody slaps the hell out of me and tells me to go back down. And so I do. And being in the limelight, which I have been in the past, I had to stop because it was just so painful. I was afraid that if I was in the limelight, somebody was talking about how it wouldn't be safe. Listen, I'm saying listen to my own self, because I have been taking a back seat to my family. They're so private. When you're in the limelight, people want to know about your life and what you do and your struggles. If I mention that, that's it. Then my family's found out and they wouldn't be safe. I wouldn't be safe. I'd just rather be dead. And I did get cancer. I almost died. And it's even a miracle that I'm alive. The doctor said, go home. We can do nothing for you. Just get your affairs in order. So here I am still. I said, I'm still breathing. I better figure out something. And so here I am. So all of these things that came up, uh, I just can't believe that. I like hiding, even though I don't want to hide. It is too darn scary and unsafe. And money, where does money come in? Well, I don't know. But there's got to be a reason how money and hiding are entwined. Because I'm a very capable woman, so it's not for lack of understanding about what to do with myself and how to go do things. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, and for you, Dahlia, your story with money has been like Dee Terrell's, like the struggle. It's been a very much a struggle and lots of calamities, like so very much money hides from you. And
Yeah.
I'm curious now, after all these pops that you've had, where are you left now with this feeling of what you heard from Peter? What are you wanting? Can you say both sides of that? I'm hide and that's okay. And the limelight, does it feel safer now? What occurs to you?
Well, I want to add something else that came up. I have always struggled with my weight. I'd always been very thin. And when I was growing up, I was so thin, I had to get shots to fat me up. I was just really out there. And so over the years, I just, been yo-yoed. And when I went through divorce, one of the things that stuck out to me was that my husband said, or ex-husband now, said, my God, you're so thin. You've gotten so old and so thin and so ugly. And so I've noticed that, especially during the pandemic, I have gained an enormous amount of weight and I can't hide because when you're a big gal, people notice that, and I'm like, okay, so here we go. It's all like, I just had to throw in the piece about the weight because no, I'm not doing work on the weight. But I just thought that was all intertwined. And if I make all this money and have all this money, I'm going to be out there more. And I don't know if I'm just going to get bigger and bigger because I'm afraid of what's going to happen. So the weight just kind of keeps me from stepping out there because I'm afraid if I have more money, I'm just going to get bigger.
Peter, over to you. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack, and we've got a commitment for people for 20 more minutes, although I'm sure they'd stay a little more.
We don't have to unpack it all. I just want to throw it out there that that's all that came to me, and I'm not a winner until now.
Let me ask you, Dahlia, thank you for sharing all of this. With all of this that you have expressed, what would be a question that you have, a burning question or burning goal that you would like to achieve? Because maybe you'd like to become bigger and have lots of money, or maybe you'd like to become thin again, or what is your burning question with all of this?
I think it's the same thing as something, I don't know who said it. I just want to feel, and I think I wrote down a little bit of it. I want to just be free that whatever state I'm in, I'm good. I don't want money to be tied into my happiness. I just want to be happy. I want to feel joy. And I don't want to have to worry about money all the time. It's like money and food. You're always on a diet. You're always thinking about how you're gonna get the next buck to pay your bills. I want to be free of all of that. I just want to live my purpose and do what I want to do and serve. I love what I do.
So money is a worry for you and holding you back.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just see where this goes.
Nose is running when you said it.
So let's just see what happens when you just say, I am a worry.
I am a worry.
Mm-hmm.
It feels true.
Oh, I'm sure it's true, but how does it feel? Do you like being a worry?
I don't like being a worry, but I've been that for so long. It felt comfortable when I
Yeah.
said it.
Have you been it since childhood? Worry for your parents?
Yes.
Okay. So you've probably spent your life trying not to be a worry.
Yeah.
And that's in a sense become, as you say, your comfort zone.
Yes.
You know that so well,
Yes.
right? So what we want you to move into, are your parents still alive?
Yes.
Okay. So they're still worrying about you.
My mother is. I don't know about my dad.
Well, okay. At least one. So you trying probably still not to be a worry for your mother.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know what that creates.
More worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to be a worry for my son who's worried that I'm going to be old and broke and he won't have enough money to
Yeah.
take care of it.
So you're trying not to be a worry all the time.
Oh, yeah, I'm just now becoming acquainted with that. That's how it goes. That's
Yeah.
how it is.
So now what I'd like you to do is to really enjoy the thought that you have permission to be a worry. You have
Oh,
permission to be a burden for your mother. Imagine. Wouldn't that be great? At
if
the moment, your mother is a burden for you. But wouldn't it be great if you could be a burden for your mother?
if you say so.
I say so.
Okay, I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
and speaking of, this is how strong this energy is. My mother and my sister live in the same place, and suddenly I text messages from my sister started showing up.
okay. So
We're on
what
the
you
right
do,
track.
you go to your mother and you say, what do you call her, mom or something? Mom,
Yeah,
I must be a terrible worry for you. And she will probably say yes. And you say, isn't that great? And see what happens.
Mom, I'm a terrible worry for you.
And she'll say, probably she'll say yes.
mm,
Or she might not like to admit it.
she wouldn't admit it. She would try to comfort me.
Yeah, but you don't need comforting, you see, at this moment. You say, I want to be a bigger worry. I'm big enough and I want to be a still bigger worry. I'm not enough worry yet.
Oh, wow. I would tell her, no, Mom, I want to be a bigger pain to you.
Yeah, that's right.
A
And you
big,
know what? You
you
know
really
what?
like
She'll be incredibly relieved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you will too. Because that's what you've both been resisting all these years.
Okay. 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 Yeah. That, that really, yeah.
What are you sensing right now?
Relief.
Yeah.
Just
You have permission to be a worry, and it's perfectly okay.
relief. I feel relief and awe and tremendous gratitude that I can be such a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
And it's exactly what I need to be right now. And
right.
it's my freedom.
Right. You're being a great pain in the ass right now, and we're all loving it. Look
It's
at
my
it. We've only got 12 minutes to go, and you're being the biggest pain in the ass ever.
oh God. Yeah. That feels good. Man, I could just that really, 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 really feels good. I can't believe it really feels good. Who would have guessed? Being a pain in the ass feels good. Wow. This is real. Wow. Whew.
What's
Now,
happening in your body right now?
I'm doing like a happy dance. If I could get up, I would do a happy dance.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So this is one side, but we do need to look at the polarity as well, the opposite side. So
Okay.
what's the opposite of being a pain in the ass for you?
For some reason, a pain in the ass to me, it just means something like really big. And the opposite of that is just being slim and light and carefree.
Slim and light and carefree. So you were slim at one time, but you weren't light and carefree, probably.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, so how do you know when you're light and carefree? How would you tell?
Oh, I really can't think of anything other than when I'm not worrying.
Right. But try and think of something that would give you a sense, now I am light and carefree. It might be, for example, let me try and help. It
Yeah.
might be when you're laughing, like you did just now.
Yes, 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 yes. Because my mom can't stand it when I laugh.
Okay.
Yes, I like that. I would like to laugh more.
Okay. So the phrase is this. Try saying, I'm light and carefree. Just repeat after me. I'm light and carefree,
I'm light and carefree.
whether I laugh or not.
Oh, oh. I'm light and carefree whether I laugh or not.
What happens there?
I felt like I went deeper,
Yeah.
and that really, really, it's nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So you can be light and carefree without laughing as well.
Yeah, that's the part right there. That's like freedom right there. I don't have to be anything. I could
Yeah.
just be.
That's right.
wow, that really just feels good. It feels like I'm free.
Yeah. So
I'm free.
I'm light and carefree, whether I laugh or not. I'm free. And I'm a real pain, and the biggest pain in the arse in the world, and it's great.
Oh, I'm light and
Carefree.
carefree, and I'm what now?
Whether I laugh or not.
Whether I laugh or not, and I'm the biggest pain in the ass in the world.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I like it. That would not be how I would normally describe myself, but I'm loving it now. Oh man. Oh, this is good. This is good. I love it. Wow. Yeah, whether I am laughing or not, I can be I'm free,
Hmm.
even when I'm being a pain in the ass. I love it. I love it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Woof, this is powerful. Who would have guessed? I mean, this is like really, really is. Thank you. Thank you. As Wendy says, some of these things just don't make sense, but they do make sense
Hmm.
because our minds got all twisted. I don't know, mine did.
Hmm.
And who would have guessed? I mean, I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful. And thank you for giving me this time
Thank you.
Absolutely.
because I'm a big pain in the ass.
Well, you were a treasure right here. So I thank you.
Oh, thank
Um,
you guys.
I'm also aware I can feel in the room, people have been surfing along and it's undeniable, right? You can see the shift in Dahlia, you could see it in D. Terrell, you could see it in Rick, and it's undeniable. So even if your head hasn't caught up, don't worry about that, right? And they are all benevolent lies. They start like that. So there's an incongruity. There's a feeling of what am I saying when it starts? And you can feel that in them too, but you can see the release, the laughing, the affect. You can see everything changing. So it's not required that you track it yet with your head. So first things first, for those that have not yet listened to the pre-event audio that I sent to you, it was less than 20 minutes and it also came with a transcript. I recommend that you go listen. Even if you did listen, I recommend that you go listen again before tomorrow. It will make a difference and allow this to go deeper. You just reminded me, one of the stories I told in that audio, I read from a book from a mentee, it's all circuitous here, of Peter's, Andy Chaliff, however we say his name, and he wrote a great story, recounted a great story about a woman who had always wanted to be a yoga teacher. But just like we know in the procrastination cure community, she put it off. She needed to be perfect. She worried about people judging her, that there were other people in the world that were better at her than that. She held herself hostage by these worries. And he said, well, of course, there are going to be people better at you, better than you at it. They've had a 30-year head start, whatever it is, but it doesn't preclude you from starting. And so what she was resisting most was kind of like, I'll be a pain in the ass. She was resisting. No, she was afraid people would say, you're a crappy yoga instructor. I think he actually said shitty, but for our things here, we just say, I'm a crappy yoga instructor. And she kept saying it over and over. And her whole body let go, just like yours did, Dahlia. And she said, why should that make a difference? Why do I feel better? Why does it feel easier now? But the perfection dissolved. The holding herself hostage to an impossible standard dissolved. That fear was in there anyway. And it was a benevolent lie. And she could hold both at the same time. I'm a crappy yoga instructor. And she could also hold, I'll be terrific at this with and without what people think of me. I think that wasn't in the book. I'm just adding it, but that would be a polarity, right? So there's that. I'm curious, Peter, what your comments are. And I would love to hear for anybody that's willing to go a couple minutes over. Thank you for that. to just know, first of all, tomorrow we will dive right in. We'll have very little time. I won't need to do a half-hour preamble. The people that weren't here today, they'll just have to catch up for the ride, but we'll dive in and we'll work with as many as can be. And I want to thank you, those that are feeling a little frustrated that you wanted to talk and you wanted to chime in. This is what life wanted today, and it was fantastic. And I am curious in a moment after we hear from Peter, what are you taking away? Just in laser speak, in laser coach speak, what are you taking away from this experience today? Because that's going to help concretize the experience and also help everybody else as we go. So actually, Peter's comments and anything, Nadia, you'd like to add in would be great too. And then we'll do takeaways. So
Great.
Peter, Peter.
So I just want to add one thing. With this system that you've experienced or are experiencing right now, there's no implementation plan with this, except to remember your phrases. So it is recommended to write them down and to remember them, because, for example, Delia, you will be meeting your mother probably quite soon. And if you don't remember them, then you just repeat the old system that you have with your old comfort zone. So the remembering brings you back into the energy that you've just been experiencing. And that's the only thing that is necessary to do or helpful to do. And when you have fully integrated these phrases, at the beginning they're new, they may not be totally integrated, but once they're totally integrated, then you can forget having to remember anything because they are fully integrated. But at the start, what normally happens is that you'll be, nobody else may have changed around you. Maybe you've just done this. And maybe very often actually people do the other people look as if they've changed. You may get home tonight and find that your mother has totally transformed or think that way, but actually it's really you. but sometimes it doesn't look that way when you meet them. So you just have to remember your phrase and tell it to yourself quietly, if you like, and you can sense the state to go back into the state that you're in right now. That's the main thing. So that's the only little piece I just wanted to add for tonight.
Wow.
And thank you for everybody for the sharings and also the listening, all the listening that everybody has been doing and taking in, because I entirely agree with Wendy that this is a collective work we're doing together. These subjects that come up like hiding, it's no coincidence that this should have appeared in your group, because this is the collective, seems to be the collective theme for the group. So it just emerges like this. At the beginning, I was a bit surprised. I was trying to think, why hiding? Maybe that's not that significant, but now you're showing Wendy how significant this is, and it makes perfect sense. So thank you, and thank you to Nadia for joining us too, and also being here and with your presence and putting in what you've put in as well. So I'm done. Let's hear everybody else now.
Well, and I will just say, I will cop to it. Part of the reason I've been the leader of this tribe for a long time, but hiding is my signature issue. So hiding and visibility, there's no accident that I've attracted, over time, thousands of people around the world that for whom this is also a companion. Well, it's an issue, but anyway, that's partly why my head was so blown in positive ways today, seeing new things. Thank you. And Nadia, it was a treasure to have you here. And I believe you can possibly come tomorrow, which is awesome. Do you have any thoughts today? What are you taking away, or what did you notice?
Thank you so much, Wendy. I was just thinking of something that happened to me today, because I was running a 4-hour mediation session with 2 women who work together and who just, everything sort of fell apart. And then as part of the work, we did a reclamation session, and one of the women felt deeply judged. And we came to the statement that she actually thinks her colleague thinks of her, I'm incompetent, right? So we work with the statement of I'm incompetent. And one of the metaphors that I brought in was to say, listen, in this relationship in particular, but I'm pretty sure it's been a theme in your life, you've spent so much time proving that you're competent. And, of course, she is that on some level, but it's really like juggling through life on one leg, right? She's been trying to prove all her life that she's competent hobbling around on one leg. And what we did is, by her embracing her incompetence, to give her her second leg back and to say, I'm incompetent and that is fantastic. And it was palpable what a sense of relief there suddenly was, for her to be able to embrace that side as well, and to realize I'm competent whether my colleague Anna agrees or not. Right. So, and there's something about that I noticed here today as well, that it feels like people are growing a second leg. Like we don't have to invest quite so much energy anymore and just hobbling around on one leg. We can have two. And it's amazing. We can be in the limelight and we can hide, Terrell, right? Thank you so much, Wendy. And I'm very happy to be back here tomorrow.
Thank you so much. It's a great contribution. And you just reminded me, the first day that I met Peter twice before this, and doing exactly what we were doing. He had someone else in the hot seat, and he said, and she was reclaiming distrustful or underhanded and untrustworthy, something like that, deceitful. And everybody in the room reclaimed it and felt great. And I couldn't do it. I was stuck. So I raised my little hand and said, I'm stuck with this one. I can't, I've got so much resistance to being underhanded and all that. And Peter asked me and said, well, what would the opposite be for you? And I said, well, I just want to be authentic, right? On my tombstone, that's the only thing I want is authentic. And he said, and you said, Peter, I read your mother's bio. My mom was a criminal. I can imagine that this is really hard, that you are resisting being underhanded and untrustworthy. That makes a lot of sense. And you looked at me with such kindness, and also it felt like sadness, like if you leave Wendy, you don't yet know what it is to be authentic. You only know the experience of pushing away inauthenticity and underhanded. And it shocked me. And so when I was able to reclaim those pieces, I did grow another leg, just like Nadja said, which is a great way to put it. And even the next weekend, I was in a workshop and I told a white lie, and it didn't harm anybody, but I broke a rule, and it was fantastic. And I thought, oh, I'm being underhanded and whatever it is. And this is great. And it benefits me and hurts nobody. And, so thank you, Nadja. This is beautiful work. Yeah. And we are over time, and I don't care. And I thank you for those that are still here. For anybody, if you have to fall off, we understand. Please come back for live to the best of your ability, because it will help everybody. Just gently, as Peter said, there's nothing you need to do, just rewrite your phrases. But I am curious to know if you could unmute yourselves. We'll just actually take it as sentences. You could go ahead, because I can't see all of your, well, actually, I'll go to gallery view and see your raised hands. Wave at me and I'll
yeah, so Lisa and Deborah have had their hands up for a while. So
thank you.
Lisa, maybe you can go first with just a quick sound bite.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jolene.
Jolene, thank you very much. This is Lisa. I want to tell everybody that these parts all came up. They came up a little differently for me, but it felt like I was becoming more whole, and I was able to look at parts of myself that I wasn't ready to. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Who
And
else?
then Deborah was next.
Deborah. Thank you, Jolene. Deborah.
Peter, when you were encouraging Rick to say he's a killer, I recoiled so much to that, because I'm a spiritual person, and how could I be a killer? And I realized, and I don't want to start crying, but I realized that, like, I've held on to this sense of what it means to be spiritual and pushed away everything that's contrary to that. And then when you explained it, as concentrated energy, and if you don't embrace your killer side, you'll never be safe. I had such a breakthrough there. I'm sure I've got other shit that needs to move, but I had such a breakthrough in my own understanding of that I was like there's so many moments here that even your last comment, Wendy, I'm like, oh my God, I got to go back and look at that. It's just mind blowing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And then Melissa is next.
Thank you, Jolene. Melissa, you have the floor.
Just real quick. When we were talking about Mom, I am a pain in the neck, what was the rest of that? Because I'm ready to claim that. I know that's something that I need to. I've been resisting it my whole life. So now I want to say, Mom, I am a pain in the neck.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. And
yeah.
And what did Peter say about she's just going to say, yes, you are a pain in the neck. And I'm going to say, isn't that great?
Yeah,
Is that it?
that's it. See what
That's it.
happens. Just
I'm
experiment.
going
see what
to. I'm going to say, Mom, I really am a pain in the neck, aren't I? And she'll say, yes, you are. And I'll say, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. That's my homework.
You can report on it tomorrow. So we got
Well,
a pain.
I
We got a pain in the
maybe
arse
I
here
will.
and a pain in the neck.
Yeah, either way, I mean, I will. Maybe I'll call her today and just say, Mom, I'm really a pain in the neck, aren't I? And she'll say, yes, you are. And I'll say, isn't that awesome? And then I'll maybe hang up.
Very good. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Who else? I'd like to hear just a couple of top line. What are you walking away from today? Understanding we have 2 more days. What occurs to you?
Wendy?
Yes.
I loved finding out about the hiding thing that Peter said about how we don't have to like expose everything. There was just something in his bringing that up that was very nourishing.
Leisha, thank you. That was nourishing to my soul too. That was a completely new distinction I had not realized before. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Heather, what are you taking away? Okay, Sam.
Just how easy this is and how fun this is.
Eh?
I wish somebody had told me that when I was 6 years old, that it could be just so fun and easy. So
Yay.
that's what I'm taking away. Looking forward to tomorrow and the next day.
Thank you. And congratulations, Heather, prizing you for riding the wave so well. I can see it. I can see the change and the difference, and that's outstanding. Really well done. Sally, what are you taking away? I'm taking away the more I push away being incompetent, because I was thinking that this morning, I'm really incompetent with money. And I've been pushing that away. And I was like, well, yes, it's just going to glom on to me. Yes, that's what I'm taking away. Beautiful. Thank you for that. I'm curious, Debbie B, you had your hand up and we didn't get to call on you, maybe tomorrow, but are there any takeaways that you have from today?
I'm finding it interesting that you can start in one place and everybody hears the same word and something either totally different or very different, or, the number of variations that can come up, and they'll be interested to see how much of the variations can be dealt with also, in this kind of group forum. Thank you for that. And in my experience, in my limited experience so far, it works beautifully. The unconscious mind maps over and makes the leap and the adjustment that it needs. And I think you just hit on something really important, because when Peter asks for the polarity, the opposite thing, that can be diametrically different for everybody. We might start in a similar place, like what does it mean to hide? We might have a different relationship to it, but there's a commonality there. But man, we're going to the body, not the head. So the opposite is not obvious. It's very different for different people. But my God, there's so much magic when you land on that thing and then claim both sides. As a matter of fact, they're not even always opposite, perceived negative, perceived positive. Sometimes they're both negative, sometimes they're both positive. It could be all over the place, but there's a uniqueness, but it still works. I'm really discovering as we do this, that people make the leaps that they need because they walk away changed. And it can be very subtle and be changing underground. By the way, if you're tired, please get extra sleep, because we know that that's the unconscious mind does the most work when the top brain is not interfering. So if you want a little nap, take a little nap. Kim, what are you taking away, honey?
I am in the limelight and I love it.
And that's a change. Congratulations.
That is my biggest fear. And I am excited for it and ready for it. And I also feel like there are times that I can hide, and that's fantastic. So I can do both and I don't have to feel afraid.
Oh, super proud of you and happy for you. It's outstanding.
Wendy, I wanted to add a takeaway.
Yes.
That goes with the limelight. When Peter said that when you're in your genius zone or your space or your inspiration, that you're when you're in that limelight, you're 100% protected.
Yes. And that was also news to me. And I'm very grateful for that, dropping that little pearl. That was huge. Thank you, Kahanu. Kira, what are you taking away? Hi, sweet thing.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, everybody. Hi, Peter and Nadia. Thank you so much. I'm astounded by the universality of the issues that we bring to the table, even though there's shades and nuances in there, and the power of working in a group.
Yeah.
Never ceases to amaze me. So I've gotten loads out of this tonight, and I thank you all for participating and making it available.
Thank you, Kira. Really, really appreciate it.
And then maybe we can just hear from Jackson and wrap it up.
I'm going to take a couple more. I know people are waiting, but this is so helpful. Again, it lets the unconscious map over with each new distinction. So I thank you. And if people have to drop off, I'm aware we've gone way over, but I really appreciate you. And this is such a treasure. I kind of don't care. So Jackson, you have the floor.
Hey, yeah. So something popped for me when Rick and Peter were talking about being able to be a killer and that like old martial artist man of like, you don't become a killer by having the capacity to be one, but you can use it if necessary. And there was a connection that popped up with my copywriting and marketing, and I've always resisted that with the feeling that it's like very aggressive and manipulative. And I haven't thought about it too much more, but there was like, oh, that's kind of the same thing. Like I can use it. If it is those qualities, I can use it in a targeted way when necessary.
Outstanding. I'm really happy for you because that creates a lot of freedom for you. I know, Jackson, so that's good. And I have to add one tiny thing. I was almost assaulted the other night, and it turns out it's perfect because it was perfect for this. It was just very strange. But I was walking in a park that I walk in at least once a week for 5 years. And it's huge and beautiful and has lights, and it was nighttime. And so it's quieter because of COVID. And I was walking, and this weirdo homeless guy came up and started to pester me, and I told him to get lost. And he kept coming, and he wanted money, and I told him to get lost. And then he came from around a pole and he grabbed my arm. And he was a young, strong homeless guy. He wasn't an old, feeble one. And I was able to scream and shake him off and find people, and he kept following us. But what occurred to me in that moment was like, damn, I have more reclamation to do, because my instinct wasn't to just like kick him in the crotch or just like take care of myself. There was still a filter of good girl, don't scream too loudly. So I have more personal work to do right here around that willingness to be vicious, willing to be violent, and it's fine with me. And I took care of myself well, but it was kind of it felt like in hindsight, well, that's perfect that happened right before this 3-day event, because it's another clear illustration, an odd one, to let people know the advantage of reclaiming the opposite thing. So thanks, Jackson. Rick, what's your takeaway?
I wanted to thank Nadia for her comment about the whole money thing doesn't mean lots more money. And I really appreciate it. It's really about a sense of freedom, and the money kind of like flows the way it flows. And I don't have to engage myself into whether I have enough or too much or whatever. It's really about, am I doing what I need to be doing? So for her to really clarify that really sunk hard for me, and I appreciate that. So thank you, dear.
Thank you. Melissa, you're the last one. You had a takeaway.
Okay, this is it. It was, I am a ridiculous struggle, and that's okay. I'm a ridiculous struggle. I am.
Yeah.
I am, and that's okay.
Thank you.
That's
and now I'll be unreasonable because Carrie Ann, we didn't hear from you all day. And okay, you can be the last one. What are you taking away, dear?
Okay, real quick is I was vicious in standing up for me and my kids with a coach that was really speaking down to us, and nobody else was speaking up. And I was vicious in speaking up, and I wrote a negative review on their Facebook page, and I'm getting a lot of backlash for it. And I was kind of regretting it until this session. I'm like, no, I did the right thing.
Beautiful. Thank you, honey. Oh, thank you all. I'm brimming with gratitude. Nadia, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Jolene, thank you for running the chat. And Peter. Oh my God. And we get 2 more days of this. How fortunate are we? Fantastic. So unless you have anything else you wanted to add after that, but if not, we'll close this one out. Same bat time, same bat station tomorrow. Come on back, same Zoom link. And yeah, grateful for you all and what else is possible. Let's dive again tomorrow and see where we go. All right. Thank you so much. I know. Woo, right? All right, right. Thank you. Okay,
Yay.
bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Feel
Thank
so
you,
happy.
Nadia.
Aw, so sweet. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the happiness.
Aw, thanks, Anne.
Happy dance.
Right? Woohoo! I know.
Wow.
We usually have a
Years of
screaming
love.
woohoo. We didn't do that today, but yeah, right? Thank you, Kahani.
Great,
Thanks, everybody.
great call.
Aw,
Anne.
thank you, Anne. Wow.
Wow.
So much. It's epic.
Awesome. It was epic. Wasn't it epic?
Yes, I'm delightful and I love it.
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.